And I believe we're going live. Hi, everybody. I'm Mark Horner. Welcome to Horner's Corner. A few minutes late on this Thursday evening. Sorry about that. Life happens, right? And tonight I have a sixth grader who had a graduation ceremony on TV. I need to pause the YouTube playback. So now I'm not hearing myself on a 20-second delay. Yeah, so how you been? Has a week already gone by just like that? Time flies. I was just mentioning my sixth grader graduating from elementary school. They go to sixth grade here, and special ceremony that was being live streamed tonight. So I caught as much of that as I could. It was about a half-hour program for parents and friends, and then skedaddled down here to get set up. And I know that we have Janine Sadola waiting in the wings. She's a frequent panelist. So let me bring Janine on board. Let's go over to attendees. And we'll bring Janine on. There we go. Promote to panelist. I am going to become more fluent in Zoom as we keep going forward. How you doing, Janine?
I'm great tonight. I'm glad to hear that about your graduation.
Yeah, thank you. It's that's my 12-year-old, and then I have a 24-year-old, and he just graduated from University of Washington, the Bothell campus here in Washington State, 4.0, 2 majors and a minor, and he's got a job at Boeing. He's set, and he's already married. He's grown up a lot faster or more maturely than I think I did at his age.
Oh, so
So,
proud.
yeah, time does fly. How have you been, Janine?
I'm doing really well. I was working, going out in a few minutes. I thought I'd step in and say hello and check into your Horner's Corner. I love watching your show, and I just think it's great.
Thank you. I am going to have some guests, I promise, in upcoming episodes. We'll get that nailed down. There are plenty of people out there I would love to interview, and I have a few connections here and there, given the nature of my professional career of the past. So I think I could bring some interesting folks on that we could all learn from and share some knowledge. Speaking of sharing some knowledge, let me first of all, you might be able to tell I've gone to a darker background. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I really like that. It's almost like a green screen.
Yeah, it's actually a gray, and by default it's pretty bright. I'm using limited lighting, but I've adjusted how much light I'm letting into my iPhone, which is my web camera, using the Filmic Pro app. I adjusted the aperture, so I've kind of darkened that bright gray. So I could go even darker, but then I start to look kind of too dark. So I was in kind of a rush setting up, so I didn't really get to fine tune it. But that what I've been doing photography for a number of years, but somebody said something on this program that I listened to, a great program on YouTube and on Zoom called Office Hours, that about backgrounds that really made sense to me. And that was when you have a darker background, it helps the subject, in this case, a human being, stand out. And there aren't things going on that are competing for your attention. And if it's too light, you tend to blend into it. So that's why we often see, like in portrait photography, darker backgrounds. So that was one thing that really stood out and made sense to me and got me thinking. And then there was something else. And this will give you an indication as to what that is. So, and that's telestration. So that's another thing I learned this week, was how to do this. And it's not just a gimmick. It's not just a fancy pony trick. It actually has great power. And I'd like to talk a little bit about that. Are you intrigued?
That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Um, well, I'll kind of give you an overview, and in a future, maybe next week, if there's interest, I'll do more on this next week, or make a video in between. I was going to refer you to a video, but then I realized it's unlisted. So let me just kind of set the stage. That program, Office Hours, let me just show you a still shot from this morning's show. That's Office Hours right there. In the upper left-hand corner, that's Alex Lindsay. And I've talked a lot about this program. Oftentimes I join the panel that you see there. Most times I simply watch and I can ask questions in their chat. And I learned so much on this show. And Alex up there in the top left-hand corner, he's really, really smart guy. And he's brought these people and many others together who volunteer their time to share and answer your tech questions. Anybody who's tuning in, share the knowledge. And people can become a panelist, just like the folks you see on screen here. There are some prerequisites. You got to be available by 6:40 a.m. for an audio check. And they really test your audio. They want you at a certain level and they want to make sure you sound good. If there's any hiss or anything like that, because the idea is that the program is very easy to hear, very easy on the ears. It could be a podcast, a great sounding podcast. And then, so that's the one prerequisite. And then hopefully you have decent lighting and a decent setup. Because they aim for that too, where people are looking at eye level and we can see their face and everything, and it's in focus, so there's that. But yeah, anybody can really join. So Alex uses the Telestrator. He has a little chain of tools that ultimately do what I just showed you. And here, let me bring it back to me. And other people associated with the group, a few, have found similar but alternative methods using some of the same hardware, but maybe different software. And one of those people is a woman. I'm not going to use her name right now because, again, she shared a video on how she's doing it as an unlisted YouTube video. And I was going to share that video tonight, at least give you the link and maybe show you a still shot of her, with some Telestration behind her, And then I realized it was unlisted. So I thought I better not even show it because she may not want her picture seen and blah. So I just, as a courtesy, I think I should ask her permission, and I can provide that link either next week or in between then and now. So the key piece that we're all using is a piece of hardware called an Atem Mini. And it's what's referred to commonly as a switcher, and it has 4 HDMI inputs. So you can bring in 4 different cameras or monitors, computers, devices, using HDMI inputs, and then you can switch between them. So like when I was showing you this, that's a computer in another room in my house, but I have an HDMI cable that is coming out of that computer, which would normally go into a monitor, but instead it's going into my Atem Mini Pro ISO. And so the Atem Mini Pro ISO is a little piece of hardware. It's about this big. It's got a bunch of buttons on it in front of me, and it's got 4 HDMI inputs, and I can switch which HDMI source I want you to see. So I'll just say what the components are. I am using my iPad first and foremost. And then I got a little dongle that, goes into the port, and it gives me HDMI out as well as power. And then I go from the HDMI out into the HDMI port on this Atem Mini Pro. And then so now it can see what's on my iPad. But what you need is a black background. And the woman who did her demo, she used an app called Notability. It's about an $8 app. I already had GoodNotes, another note-taking app, on my iPad. And by default, you can't do, at least I haven't found a way to do a black background. But in GoodNotes, you can import a simple PDF black background. So I made a black background PDF and imported it into GoodNotes. And I just choose a bright color and I write on that. But first I got to go to the Atem Mini Pro software, and there are 2 or 3 key settings, because this piece of hardware called the Atem Mini Pro has software. There are just like 3 or 4 steps. You just got to configure things. It's very well explained by this person in this video I was telling you about. The video is only about 1.5 minutes. And bingo, bango, bongo, you're rock solid. So then, then I just practiced, oh, this is really cool. So how do I, I could erase it like that live, or I could, if I draw something, if I can also make it go away all at once. If I had the software open, Mark, do I have the software? I don't even have the software open. How about that? There's a button. I'm opening the software. Oh, that's the wrong software. I'm opening vMix. Let's close that.
I'm really impressed. I didn't even know you could do that. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, what's really cool about it, here's what's cool about it. Because I mentioned it's not simply like a little one-trick pony. It's not meant to really be showing off. It's a great tool for engagement and to teach. Because when you think about it, what often happens is people, just a second, I gotta remember I can use my Apple Pencil for this. I have a mouse here, a mouse up here for my other computer, which is in the other room, and I have my Apple Pencil. I have to remember which, do I want a mouse or an Apple Pencil, and blah, blah, blah. So let's get rid of this. So when you teach, a lot of times what happens is, if you're a teacher especially, you do this. And you're losing this. And Alex Lindsay said today, and I really agree with it, that a great indicator, not only an indicator, but a factor, undeniable factor for engagement in videos is this eye line. When I'm off doing this, or if I'm down doing this for a long period of time, or I'm doing this or this, if I'm on a cooking show and I'm going to turn my back on you and I'm going to go over here, that connection, we lose that connection. But when we have eye contact and we stay engaged and we have that eye line, and it's not a situation where the camera's down there and you're looking up my nose and seeing most of my ceiling over my head, or you're up there and we're doing this game, but line of sight, this is far more effective. Now, if I'm a math teacher and I wanted to do something, I would normally do on the chalkboard or on an overhead or some other device that's commonly used these days in a physical space where we're all in the same room, I can keep this going by, let's change our color because I'm getting tired of that. Let's go with a nice happy blue. I'm sounding like Bob Ross now, sorry. I can say for, and draw something out. I'm not making any sense with my problem, but and illustrate the point. And I've seen it, I'm being kind of respectful of real estate here, but it's not uncommon to see Alex, the gentleman I'm referring to, he's just, here. And what's really cool on the iPad, you can actually make really good looking shapes if you wanted to, but he'll just draw right across his face, whatever it is to make the point. There's, I need to get over this thing of drawing over my face, whatever is effective. I know it's really easy to read, especially on the dark background though. So in addition to the dark background, yes, causing your eye to be solely focused on the subject, the human being, in this case, me, the dark background is also really beneficial because it helps whatever I draw pop and clear and easier to see. So,
and
yeah.
What's the cheapest version of that you can purchase?
So there's the Atem Mini. It's either what's the base model, the Atem Mini or the Atem Mini Pro. I think it's the Atem Mini. I think that's $300 or $400. Yeah, but it's powerful. So as you might imagine, live streaming is really popular. And given the impact of COVID, live streaming has really taken off in the past 14 months. Mm-hmm. And organizations, employers, houses of worship who are already even live streaming, more and more so, they've had to find solutions for their live streaming needs. And of course, many were never doing it, but are now doing it. So it's very common for people who live stream. Not everybody. I mean, a lot of people use simple apps like we were using Periscope. When I would use Switcher Studio on my iPhone and I had multiple iOS devices and their cameras, I was switching from one camera to another camera, one device to another. So you'd see me at one angle, then you'd see another angle and another angle if I'm using two iPhones and an iPad. So that's switching. And so these devices are commonly referred to as switchers. TV stations have switchers, and they have technical directors, or TDs, who punch the buttons based on the shots that the director is calling out. They'll say, give me 4/3, mix effects 2/3, blah, 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 standby take, that kind of a thing. But these are little switchers, and there have been products out there forever. But I think it's pretty safe to say that the Atem Mini Pro has changed the game. And it's changed the game in profound ways. Probably the most popular, most sold switcher in the world today, I would think, is the Atem Mini Pro. Number one, it's the price point. The price point, I mentioned a few $100s to get the base Atem Mini Pro. To do what it does, with the stability that it does it, you used to have to spend thousands of dollars for that type of technology. So there's that. It's small. It's low impact. And so what's happening is you're seeing people just. I mean, if you go on YouTube and put in Atem, it's ATEM Mini Pro, you'll find tons of videos. And this has really been a device that's revolutionized people who make a living or an additional income live streaming all sorts of events. When you go to, so it's the Atem Mini is the base model. The Atem Mini Pro is the next step up. And what it does, it has a built-in encoder. So you can use it to also encode and send your stream to your CDN, or your content delivery network, whether it's YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, or wherever. If you want to use a RTMP, you can put the URL for that RTMP in there as well. So it's pretty awesome. I have the ISO, which is the third level up. So, you can also use these not only to live stream, but to record programs. So you could be, let's say, you're doing a shoot and it's 4 cameras, and you bring them into this device, and you have, a couple of people who are talent on air, if you will. And you're not going to go live though, but you can use this device to record it live, and then you're done. Or in the case of the ISO, what's really cool about it, the one I have, is it records all of your inputs, all of your HDMI inputs, those sources independently. So if I had 4 cameras going in, I have 5 recordings. I have the final mix as I punch the buttons, what the audience would have seen if they were watching it live, but I'm not talking about live. And then you have 4 additional recordings, 1 for each camera. And it will, and I haven't done this yet, but I'm pretty sure what it does is it will open up a project file in DaVinci Resolve, which is Blackmagic Design's version of, say, Premiere Pro or Final Cut. It's their video editing software. And it'll open up the project, by default, and just put everything in the timeline, all of your cameras in the sequence, one over the other, and then you can go back and change anything you wanted to. And I hung on to this shot too long, or I wanted to see this shot here, and we didn't do that when we recorded it. So you can quickly make adjustments and then export the file that you wanted, and then share that on YouTube or wherever, or to a client, wherever you wanted to send it. So yeah, Atem Mini Pro, I'm probably making it far too complicated, but it's a real powerful piece of hardware. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I'm going to watch your replay and see if you say anything else about it. I just have to depart, but I can't wait to hear the rest of this.
Well, I'm not sure there's going to be a whole lot. I don't know that I have to check comments on YouTube. I've been so locked in on the conversation. I haven't been very good about monitoring comments. So, but thanks, Janine. I really appreciate it.
Okay, so I'll check out and Have a good evening, everybody, and talk to you next week for sure.
All right, Janine. Thank you. Take care and have a wonderful evening.
You too.
Thanks. Okay, so there's Janine. All right, folks. So what I'm going to do is real quickly swing over to YouTube and see if anybody is on. Okay, YouTube, I see you there. Yeah, nope, no comments in the live chat on YouTube. All right. So the learning just continues. There is so much to learn, and it doesn't take a whole lot to get started if you're not live streaming to get into this. And I mentioned the show Office Hours, and I'll show that again. That's Alex Lindsay's channel, ALEX, Alex, and his last name is Lindsay, LINDSAY, and he's the gentleman in the upper left-hand corner. Really encourage you to check that out. It's on YouTube 6 days a week, live. 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Usually goes for about 2 hours. The first hour is general talk where people can just ask their questions. And the second hour is, sorry, I got distracted by an intruder, my son. The second hour is usually a guest. And the guest is speaking about a specific subject area. It could be so much under the technological sun, if you will. This morning, as the title suggests here, if you can barely read that, I know, but it says focus on Todd Reynolds, violinist extraordinaire. And Todd Reynolds was a fascinating guest. That was today's show, June 17th, 21. Let me see if I can reach for a way to, yeah, I think I can. Let's go to the second hour and I'll just show you a little bit about what Todd was doing. I think I'm okay doing this. This is Todd. And he is a very accomplished violinist and musician and teacher. And here he is showing how he uses Ableton Live to make music, and specifically his type of music. And look at, he's showing us the foot pedals. He's showing us the software. He's showing us this board that he created he created the board himself with all of these wires. It's just absolutely amazing. So I don't want to go beyond fair use. I didn't ask for permission, so I'll just keep that real short there. But yeah, Office Hours is a fantastic program. Well, with that, I think that's going to do it. That's my update for this week. I learned a little bit, showed you the Telestrator, the quick demo. I'm sure we'll use that going forward in ongoing episodes. And I hope to get permission to share, or I can make my own tutorial, I suppose. But I thought, in fairness, the person who made the video that I benefited from should have a shot at having it shared directly so she can get those views if she's so inclined to have them. So I'll check in with her first. Anyhow, I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, wonderful day, wherever you might be. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, everybody.